I'd like to conduct a 30-minute press conference today. Well, with regard to today, regarding today's witness, we'd like to have him summarize today's proceedings and have your questions asked after that. We had our third meeting of the NAIIC, and we had Mr. Kazuo Matsunaga, who was Vice Minister of the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry from July of 2010 to August of 2011. He was the Vice Minister at that ministry, and he was dealing with the accident. And until September of 2005, he was also the head of NISA as well. And today, as we had mentioned, he had a very brilliant career. And with regard to the accident when it happened, as he was in the position in the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry at NISA as well, what sort of countermeasures were instituted, and how was safety of the nuclear power industry assured? These were all asked in the questions that we had posed to him. With regard to METI and the way that it has existed as it has dealt with nuclear power, there were several points that came to light. With regard to the Nuclear Energy Regulating Authority, when an accident occurs, the response on the part of the nuclear power plant and the plant outages and how to deal with the emergency situation, it seems as if they've been working very hard on the policies that had existed. And also when Mr. Matsunaga was at NISA, when the new anti-seismic countermeasures were put into place, he was very busy with the Mihama accident, and he avoided our questions. With regard to the stress test, he did not deal with these questions directly either, and B5B and the adoption of that and the considerations pertaining to that, he did not touch upon that. He was in a very important position. However, he did avoid his accountability-related questions that were posed to him. And last year, in June, on the 18th, when Minister Kaeda had his meeting, the restart of the nuclear power plant would not have any problems with regard to the restart. It seems as if it came to light that he did not have a full awareness of this. And if these are indeed true, then as the person responsible, whether he is suited to act in that position, we cannot help but wonder. Securing the safety of nuclear energy, I don't believe that he had the full awareness that he needed to have. And the posture necessary to continue to raise awareness and deepen knowledge based on what is going on in the world in terms of regulating nuclear energy, that sense of responsibility and that sense of attentiveness, as well as the organization not having had enough of a feeling that they really needed to protect the nuclear power industry. And as far as the plant outages were concerned and the supply of energy is concerned and meeting the demand, even though there was a certain outlook that had existed, inadequate preparations were made. And the problems still exist into this summer, we believe. And as far as Thermal is concerned, the Unit 3 of Fukushima nuclear power plant, to make the adoption of this more swift, and the anti-seismic backcheck opportunity was lost. Overall, the emergency response capabilities, METI as well as NISA, did not conduct adequate preparation and did not have the awareness necessary. The overall responsibility rests with the ministry and NISA. They did not have the full awareness necessary of this fact to carry out their responsibilities. To promote nuclear energy and to fulfill responsibilities as a ministry and the way in which it had existed as an administrative ministry, the government of Japan and the administration and the manner in which it exists is called into question. When we think about nuclear energy, which is a huge energy source, we need to look at this seriously, face on. All of us need to do that. We have met with you several times now to fulfill one's responsibility vis-a-vis nuclear power, and whether or not these individuals that need to be responsible are indeed fulfilling their responsibilities. This is something that we've been investigating in our Independent Investigation Commission. Within our government and within the national diet, in order to make certain that such an accident does not happen again, we would like to fulfill the expectations of our people and conduct our investigations. And in our final report, we would like to further elucidate the reasons as to why this accident had taken place and come up with the various countermeasures necessary to make certain that such an accident never happens again. And we would like to continue our efforts to that end. Thank you very much. Now we'd like to open the floor for questions. If you could raise your hand and state your name and the firm from which you hail. We don't have very much time, so if we could have one person ask one question. Please, the first gentleman in the very front.
My name is Rishda, freelance reporter. Well, you stated that governance issues of the government. I think you really said that the hearing shed the lights on the problems. So the witness is bureau. What about the criminal? Well, probably as an individual, the person would not be criminally prosecuted. But in case of the B5B, Mr. Nomura pursuing the questions on B5B. But in terms of the inaction of the bureaucrat, the people of Japan might have affected. From your investigation commission, is there any possibility that there'll be any proceeding you're going to take for the inaction of the witness? Well, I'm not in a position to comment on this. Are there any other questions? Gentleman next to him.
I'm Nanao from Nico Nico. If someone is in a top-level position, it was the same as Mr. Katsumata. They say they don't know and they are not aware. How was it with Prime Minister Kan? We keep looking at the top-level leadership to ask these questions. We have to think about responsibility, but we also have to think about learning the facts. And for that, we need to hear about what happened on site. And as far as the accidents were concerned, we've had various people testify, but Janus as well has a role to fulfill. and they would be key to answering these questions. When you think about the way in which you select your witnesses, could you please let us know more about that? I can't comment on that. As you are well aware, we don't have very much time and we have to do a lot of work. So how can we balance these two? It's not a very easy thing to do. Within our commission, in this commission process, we have this opportunity to hear from you as to whom we should have testify as witnesses. I will be repeating this, and this relates to responsibility as well, but we would like to learn further about the facts on site. Yes, please, the next gentleman.
A gentleman in blue shirt. Okay, I'm from NAIIC paper. Mr. Kurokawa, you stated that the several points were revealed, and as you did in the past, but based upon the statements by Mr. Matsunaga, I think, something at some point couldn't be clarified only because of the Vice Minister's statement. So when you say some points were clarified or disclosed or something, that could be a little bit of exaggeration. I think things were clearer what I meant. I think it was a little bit of exaggeration, so I just wanted to hear your opinion when you say the points were discovered or, anyway, the progress was made. Any other questions?
The person in the middle. We will give you a microphone, please, if you could kindly wait. I am Miura from Akahata, Sunday version. On the 18th of June, there was this restart issue that was mentioned, and Minister Kaeda had talked about this. Mr. Matsunaga didn't touch upon this very much, but Mr. Kurokawa, in your investigation, that's something maybe that METI had made the minister state. Do you have any conviction regarding that? And B5B is being discussed, but the power source being completely lost needs to be thought about, and the meltdown of the core as well as the buildings collapsing because they could not absorb the shock enough. Well, the Japanese Communist Party seems to be saying various things, but we seem to be ignored. But in the diet, there's been various points pointed out, but these points have not been taken very seriously. But they need to be taken seriously because the national diet is a very serious place where such discussions need to take place. I'd just like to ask about those 2 points. Regarding verification, as you are well aware, that process that had existed wasn't perfect, but it's been pretty much established. So who was it that was involved at what stage? The LDP process, for example, as you're aware, has been very different. So there's a lot that is not clear. So as far as I'm concerned, I'd like to see the facts drawn out. And as you had rightly mentioned, the national diet needs to fulfill a role as well. So therefore, what we're discussing here now, what sort of recommendations would we be making as far as the NAIIC is concerned? That's something I guess you're asking about. Well, why is it that it's the first time, and what sort of expectations are being espoused? Well, perhaps I didn't quite understand the point you were trying to make. I do apologize.
Any other questions? Yes. Kobayashi, NHK. Well, there were 13 meetings of the Commission, and from tomorrow we'll be inviting the politician as witnesses, Mr. Edano, Mr. Kaeda, Mr. Edano will be invited. And what is your objective? What to be clarified through the politicians' witnesses? What's your expectation? Well, it's rather difficult. I don't have anything that I would like to get particular comment. As you said earlier, we are not a professional to draw some specific comments from the witnesses, but I really hope that the discussion review by the people, as many people as possible. Mr. Kaeda, the order of venting, it was made by him, and seawater injection and the typical withdrawal from sites or the areas. And what will be the focus of the questions? Well, you can come back tomorrow. Tomorrow, you can evaluate our skills or hearing capabilities. So you can come back tomorrow. We are very eager to do what we expected from them.
Well then, on the left-hand side, the gentleman over there, please. I am Miyajima from monthly magazine Factor. Tomorrow, I'm sure that you would really need to ask some hard questions, so we ask for your cooperation. As far as putting together the conclusions are concerned, will you be doing this after you hear from Mr. Kaeda? There are 3 groups, but will there be a drafter and other roles that will be fulfilled by members of your commission? Is it just going to be a one-shot deal or a 2-shot deal? I'm sure you talked about the questionnaire earlier, and there's a lot of things that you would need to report to the public, but separate from what's to be reported to the people until the end of June. When you think about the work that needs to be done, to the extent that you're aware of it, could you share with us how many pieces have come back in terms of the questionnaires and other points? Yes, we understand that. As far as those points for discussion are concerned, we're going to be putting those together based on the overall thinking. And there are several points that will be focused upon and further thought about. I really can't touch upon that as yet. But the first such meeting will take place. We haven't had a precedent. If we had had a precedent, then we would have had an interim report and whatnot. But now we're groping in the dark. If you would be so kind as to allow us some time to figure all of this out. And how is it that we will be dealing with the materials, including the questionnaires that we received back? We would like to disclose as much as possible these documents, because I'm sure that you would need to see the original documents upon which we base our conclusions. As far as the questionnaires are concerned, we've asked 21,000 households, 50,000 households. I'm sorry, 21,000 households, and we've had 10,000 households already reply. So it's been over 50% that we've received back the questionnaire answers. Are there any other questions? Or perhaps not? If not, we'd like to end this press conference today. Would that be all right? Our press conference this time ends. Thank you very much, everyone, for your participation. Tomorrow, on the first floor of the House of